Looking for these better days.
It is Wednesday, September 17th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. We got some injury updates around the NFL. All of the talk shows talking about Tom Brady being in the coaching booth with the Raiders. I think we mentioned that was going to be a story yesterday. And Major League Baseball postseason races continue. Bad night on the diamond for us here on Better Day. We'll get to that coming up in just a few minutes. Mackenzie Rivers with me here on this episode of Better Day. And yesterday, Mac, you and I talked about the hypothesis of more aggressiveness in the NFL. And I'm curious, what did you find in your research when it came to NFL teams going for it on fourth down, the drive percentages, all of the data that comes to calculating how important drives are and completing drives or extending drives in the NFL in 2025 versus going back last year and the year before?
You know, I'm a NBA guru at heart. You know, that's my favorite sport to bet on. And I got to say, looking at the data, it's been a revolution that's not unlike the three-point revolution in the NBA, where it's like, if you're looking at data before 2015, it's just a different ball game than right now in the modern NBA, or in this case, the modern NFL. Because it started with the whimper, it started with the tick up. It went from about 15% they'd go for it on fourth down historically. In 2019, it reached a new high of 20%, and it's generally ticked up a little bit every year, but this year it's been a drastic increase. Now 28% of all fourth downs are going for it. It's even more amplified if you look at it between the 40s, because that's usually when you have a real decision to make. If you're at the 45 or the 50, you don't have to punt. Nobody says you don't have to kick a field goal, although the Cowboys have success doing that. In 2019, it was 25% of the time. Between the 40s, if it's fourth down, you're going for it. This year, it's tipped over 40%. So almost, not quite double, but in that vicinity. And that's why I think if you look at the drives per game, it's funny, week one was a major under week two was a major over week. However, they were consistently a less drives per game proposition, where 10.4 drives per game would be the lowest, at least since 2002 when they started recording this particular metric, and probably the lowest of all time, because possessions mean so much. Teams are not willing to just hand it over without at least trying to go for it, generally on fourth down.
It's fascinating to me because I mentioned part of the reason for my hypothesis was the new kickoff rules, starting field position being increased, and then also with the new K-balls, kickers being allowed to work in the balls during the week as opposed to getting them and giving them to the refs and getting them 90 minutes before the game.
Right.
They're kicking the balls further. We're seeing longer field goals now in the NFL. And so I just feel like drives from where they're starting to where you have to go to get a field goal, giving up 3 points is almost inevitable for a defense. And so if you're on offense, I don't understand. It's like you shouldn't punt, unless you're in a spot where you can truly pin the team inside their own 10-yard line. You shouldn't punt. But then there's the other side of it, which is, well, if you are in a position to pin a team inside their own 10, that means you're also close enough to your own field goal range. So I think that there's a lot of things that go into it. I just believe maybe the only time you should punt is when you're deep in your own territory. I would literally be going for it. I know there's been coaches that do this at the high school level or the college level, like the D3 college level, where they just never punt. But literally, you're giving up points every time you're giving away the football, it seems now in the NFL. It's wild.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think both things are true, teams are more likely to go for it, and they're more likely to make these long field goals. Because it's interesting, field goal percentage is barely up historically. It does creep up every year, but it's not very different from 2013. But field goals from what we used to be called marginal distances, 50, 60 yards, they're drastically more likely to make them than ever before. So punters, I mean, we were having all this talk about running backs not being paid enough, and they had these Zoom calls trying to get their union together. I think punters should be worried. There's less and less use for them.
I would agree with that. And I'm wondering if the uptick in week scoring from week number 1 to week number 2 is the coaches realizing, how to adjust with the kickoff rule and also adjusting with the aggressiveness. And I just wonder if this is the new way of the NFL, and we are going to see more scoring, and maybe, the drastic change from an under week to an over week in week number 2 is not fluke. It's not a fluke, and it's going to continue to be an over trend.
No, I don't think it's a fluke. However, I would be worried about any overtrend if the market just doesn't react by upping the totals by 3 points. I think what's telling in both week and week 2 and going back to last year, since week 11, favorites are of 4.5 or more winning 87% of the time. And I think that desperation that teams are exhibiting on fourth down can lead to scoring or can lead to more drastic differences in results. Like if I'm down 3 points, all right, I could tie it up and then give the favorite the ball back, and then they probably win by a field goal themselves, or I go for it, I be aggressive like we saw the Texans do yesterday, and they ended up covering. Or actually, I guess -2.5 they didn't cover. But you get what I'm saying. If I'm down by 3, instead of going for it like I used to, I go for a desperate 4th and 9 because I play the percentages, I play the variance. I'm more likely to lose by 10 than ever before, even though I'm not worse compared to my opponent than ever before. So I think that is one reason why we see favorites covering 60% over the last 12 weeks of NFL action.
Yeah, I know it's like I get mad at this every single week, but it just feels like, man, it's so easy. Just pick all the favorites to win, right? I mean, they're not doing great, I guess, ATS purposes, but straight up, I mean, if you're willing to just lay the money line, it happened. These favorites are winning. They don't lose. It's incredible. We're just not seeing the upsets, and the upsets that we are seeing are the coin flip games.
Right.
The 1 point spreads, the 2.5 point spreads. Like those are the upsets, and those really, I don't even consider those upsets. Have we had a win this year, Mackenzie, by a team that was north of, I mean, do we want to say a field goal, or how about we say, has there been a win this year yet by a team that has been a 6-point dog?
No. There's only been 9 wins of any stripe where the underdog won. The biggest one was the Falcons, who were 3.5 at close. A lot of money came in on the Falcons. Or the Chargers, who were 3-point dogs. Seahawks also 3-point dogs. So, no, there hasn't been anything before the game. You'd be like, man, I'd be shocked if that team won. There's been no shock. There's been no awe.
Okay, so I think it was it Bill Simmons or Rosillo or somebody that said this last year when they were talking about, teasers and how, well, no one's losing with the 6-point favorites. Like, no, they don't lose, right? Now, I understand the teaser math.
It's been a good run for those. That's why they got to up the vig from
Well, that's why. That's why.
Humane to not humane,
yes.
Essentially.
So I understand the teaser odds have just been terrible now. Like, you can't get a -120 2-leg teaser, and you have to do the math accordingly with your two-leg parlays. But like, let's think about it for a second. If we look at the money lines, let's look at this week, for example. You have Seattle as a 7.5-point favorite over New Orleans, and you have Kansas City as a 6.5-point favorite over the Giants. Now, your teaser, you'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to take the Seattle down to 1.5, and I'm going to take the Chiefs down to 0.5, right? Well, at -120, maybe. But now with it being -135, well, let's take a look. You have -420 on Seattle and -285 on the Chiefs. So let's do a little parlay calculator, right? If we do a -285 on the Chiefs.
Right.
And -425 on the, well, that's a -150. You're actually better off teasing that. So, interesting there. Oh, no, it's -420. So, -420 and -285, yeah, it's -150. Sure, actually, you're better off teasing that one. But it just feels like you're not losing this year.
No, I mean, there hasn't been a ton of these, but favorites of more than 5 points are 7-0. And there's 4 more this week. I would not be surprised if they go 9-0. I mean, at least the Packers beat the Browns. The Bills beat the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're fine with a 2. Well, how much is that? Like -200? I feel like that gets to the window. I could see the Jets beating the Buccaneers, maybe, unlikely, or the Saints beating the Seahawks. But I just don't see the Packers or the Bills losing this week.
So favorites this year in general are 17 and 15 ATS. They're 23-9 straight up, 17 and 15 ATS. On the 6-point teaser, favorites are 27 and 5 this year on the 6-point teaser. Now, let's look at the underdogs, okay? Because this is what the popular teaser is, right? Is to tease up the underdogs.
Plus ones, yeah.
Exactly.
You can get above a touchdown.
So underdogs this year would be the opposite of those favorites at 15 and 17 against the spread. Teasing up the dogs this year, plus 6 points, 23 and 9 against the spread. So 72%. I don't know if that's enough to justify the teaser pricing.
It's funny because all of this math has been worked out, and now we have to change it. Dang, we got to do work. But 72% was exactly what you needed for a 6-point teaser. If you had 2 legs, you needed 70 plus 72%.
Mm-hmm.
So favorites this year are 84%. You can even be laying minus 140 and still be cashing. But 23 and 9, 72%. It's just breaking even, which means you're not breaking even. You're losing. You're getting vigged out.
Tremendous math there, Mackenzie. But that's on the. That's only on the.
That's
plus.
on the dog.
That's on the
dogs. The dog legs are just because there have been. There hasn't been as many crazy blowouts, I guess, outside of the Lions and the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you're doing terrible with the dogs, but the last really 18 weeks since week 4 of last year, favorites have just been the way to go.
Okay, so how about this? If the line is between 1 and, let's do the traditional teasers this year. So the line is between 1 and 2.5. 1 and 2.5, right? So this year, those teams are 6 and 5 straight up in ATS, right? But on the 6-point teaser, 9 and 2.
All right.
So
that's pretty much what you would expect. It's a little bit worse than the favorites, but that's 81%.
Yeah, I guess the only losses were Lions and Packers, right? That was a close line.
Packers ended up, all that money came in on the Lions before a kick, but the Packers won by 14.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That was a close line. I didn't realize that was such a close line. And the other game that was a big result was let's see, what was the other non-cover on the 6-point teaser? Not Bills Ravens. That was a close game. 20-13. I guess no, that was a 2.5. Let's see. No, I'm seeing Lions Packers. Is that the only one? Am I missing one here? Am I missing a dog here that didn't cover the teaser?
Dolphins Colts. So Dolphins were up at +1.
Okay, gotcha.
And, I believe they lost by 1 million points.
Yes. Okay. So, yeah. Mike McDaniel will tell you though, in order to win a game, you got to win a game.
It's funny. People that never have watched football sent me that. And it's just, it lives in internet glory, as a lot of Mike McDaniel does.
It's an amazing press conference. He's like,
the first thing you got to do is not lose the game. Oh, yeah. Wise words,
yeah.
Mike.
Well, if you want to win a game, you can't lose a game because if you don't lose the game, well then you're gonna win the game. So that's what you have to do.
No lies detected.
No, I mean, yeah, this is a genius head coach. So, I mean, it's interesting stuff when you look at these teasers, it's fascinating to see what has happened so far early on in this NFL season when it comes to these favorites and these totals. Very curious to see how it adjusts from week to week.
And by the way, betting-wise, yes, I think favorites cover more often because of this, but the market's going to react. I'm not sure the market is going to react enough to the simple prop, the most direct way to get at it, and you see this in some sports books, number of 4th downs converted. In 2019, the year where I said, all right, this is the start of the crescendo, one team, the Baltimore Ravens, pretty advanced analytic team, had 1.0 4th down converted per game. Last year, it was a new record high. 9 teams had that, 1.0 or more 4th downs converted per game. This year, half the league, 16 teams, or 16 times as many as 5 years ago, are converting at least 1 4th down per game. I don't think the market, the betting market, is going to double the odds overnight from their algorithms last year, I do think there's still opportunity.
So, like, in terms of betting, what? Like, looking at game props and seeing, like, team to convert a fourth down?
Yeah, like in the Super Bowl, I remember. I believe different offshores will have this for more games than just the Super Bowl, but it was like 1.5 usually. I remember betting Rams Bengals over 1.5 converted, so that's less than one per team, and half the league is averaging more than one per game themselves. So 2 per game should be the new expectation at least.
Yeah, I'm looking at tomorrow night's game, the Thursday night game between the Bills and the Dolphins, and I don't see any like fourth down props under team props or game props. It would be interesting though to see if the sports books do offer that.
It's niche. It might be more of a big. I mean, Thursday Night Football is a big game.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, I'm curious. So let's look at the FanDuel Sportsbook right now. Shout out FanDuel. And let's see if there's any game props here. So game specials. That wouldn't be under game specials. No, I don't. I mean, maybe the day of the game, some things like that pop up. But
yeah, hit us up if you see that at your local book or your bookie down in the corner bar.
Yeah, that would be interesting because I would feel like I would just bet over what. What's the line you would bet at? I would bet over 1.5 fourth down conversions in every game. And what'd you say the numbers are this year?
Half the league is averaging more than one, so I think the average is around 2.
Okay. Yeah, I would. I mean, if that's a line, especially, you probably get plus money. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, because it used to be you'd get plus money at over 1.5. Now I think over 2, over 1.5 would be significant. Would be plus money, and it's expected.
I mean, is this the new prop market that we're going to dominate here? If it's offered, I mean, I know they offered on the Super Bowl, but if we can find this on a daily game basis, is this the prop that we're gonna crush now?
And I think if we also dig into the numbers of which teams are doing it more. Like the 49ers have more than one converted per game, team I follow. That is evolution of Kyle Shanahan. He very much wants to be the conservative punt, run, and play defense. But I can see, with the times, they're evolving in San Francisco, definitely going for it more this year.
Yeah, and so, maybe, all right, so here's another angle then. If we're not able to find fourth down specific props on any given day, what if you find first down props and you could bet on the amount of first downs for a team to convert? Would that be like a correlated way of kind of playing this?
Yeah, because even if you don't end up scoring a touchdown, just getting the first down, having more opportunities at the first down. Yeah, you do see that more often. Or which team's going to have more first downs?
Yeah, I was going to say which team to have more first downs, and then you would just look at the teams that are doing more of those fourth down conversions and going for it on fourth down, and you would bet that team to have more first downs. That's interesting. I'm fascinated by this. I really am, because I think there's a way, if these bets are available in the market, to kind of attack these props. That is something I would very much like to get down on here over the course of a game. I know you could bet first drive results, but that's about it. Like, I've seen some books offer the first drive stuff, but I'd be very curious to do like total first downs in a game. Like here, like Bills first down on the first drive is minus 589. Dolphins first down on the first drive is minus 271. That's not a market I'm going to bet into here, but,
hey.
I would like to look at, first. This is interesting. So you can bet first drive fourth downs.
Converted.
Yes.
So it's got to be monster plus money because it's only 1 out of 20 drives.
So for Bills, successful fourth down conversion on their first drive plus 910. Dolphins, successful fourth down conversion on the first drive plus 1140.
Now, I kind of think the Dolphins are the bet there. I mean, not that you can have to bet one and not the other, but if the Bills score their first touchdown because they're so much better, and the Dolphins have a 4th and 3 with their season in the balance on the 35-yard line, going for it. There's no question about it. So you're getting 11-1.
In your research on the fourth down conversions, is there any way to isolate the first drive to see? Can we determine what how many teams have gone for a fourth down on their first drive of the game?
Not my first pass of doing it, but I think that could be isolated. Yeah.
Okay, I feel like this is the project for tomorrow's show. Let's try and come up with the list of the teams through 2 weeks. And maybe, do we look at last year, or is last year
Yeah,
a good
you
data
want more.
point as well?
I think you want more sample. So I think
Okay.
last year is good.
So just last year and the first 2 weeks this year. And let's look at teams and the amount of times they have gone for fourth downs on their opening drive of the games. Because this could be something where, listen, if we have a bet here for Thursday Night Football and we're taking the Dolphins at plus 1140, you only got to hit that 1 out of 11 times.
Right,
you know,
right.
so
If you have 11 games that you like,
exactly. If we have 11
maybe you hit
games,
3 of them and you're good. Yeah.
100%. I mean, this is we might be onto something here. Okay, I like this. All right, we'll get back to you on that on tomorrow's episode when we preview the Thursday night football game between the Bills and the Dolphins. Any other final thoughts on the NFL? The Vikings did put their running back Aaron Jones on IR. Nothing that we didn't expect because he's been dealing with that hamstring injury that he suffered. So he's out now a minimum of 4 games, which means that Jordan Mason will take over as the lead running back. They also are expected to re-sign Cam Akers, who has been with the team a couple of times. But Mac, you and I have talked about Jordan Mason a bunch. Obviously, you know what he has done with the 49ers. And I drafted this kid in fantasy because everybody that I talked to around the Vikings was like, Jordan Mason's going to be the lead back. Jordan Mason's going to be the lead back. And now by virtue of injury, I understand, but now he's the lead back for the Vikings.
Yes, I think we learned something from week 2, and that is you want to still, nothing's changed, beat the Bengals on the ground. The Jaguars run for 140 yards, 5 yards a carry. So even with Lawrence's, pretty average or below average performance, they put up 27. In week 1, yes, the Browns could not run at all against the Bengals, but we saw against the Ravens, and we just see their general Brownsness of them has more to say about the Browns than the Bengals rush defense. So I still think it's vulnerable, just like it has been for years in the Lua and Aruma days. I still think that's how the Vikings probably win that game and cover.
And we also have an early prop bet for the Raiders game against the Commanders. That's right. I have an early prop bet. And, well, it's not up yet. But when
what a tease.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
But when it does get released, we will be playing, you ready for it?
Yes.
Ashton Genty over rushing attempts.
You're either tired of the noise. They're tired of Rich, what's that guy's name? Used to be in Sports Center.
Rich Eisen?
Yeah, Rich Eisen. Yeah, he was talking today about how they're not going to stand for the lack of Genty rush attempts. Well, I think
here's what
Raiders might respond.
Here's what Pete Carroll told the Las Vegas Review-Journal. All right? Quote, "We're just getting started with Genty. He's breaking into the NFL. He's figuring it out. He'll get more carries. We have to run the ball more effectively. We only got 68 yards, and that's not enough. We need more than that. We're bringing Genty along. More will come." More will come, Pete. All right. I like that. So, hey, if Pete's telling us more will come, I got to imagine that coming up this week, short week of preparation, what's the easiest thing to do on a short week of preparation is just focus on the run game. How do you also remedy Geno Smith turning the ball over so many times and looking terrible at quarterback? Run the football, right? I think after a game in which we saw Genty against the Raiders not be effective because the Raiders' offensive line is just terrible, I think that they're going to force feed him. If Pete Carroll says more carries to come for Genty, I'm going to believe the coach, and we're going to bet Genty over rushing attempts.
Yes, and I think they also had a good excuse because they were playing the Chargers, number 1 scoring defense in the league last year. Now they're playing the Commanders, who are a lot like the Bengals. Decent team, good offense, especially bad at stopping the run. We saw that Thursday Night Football against the Packers. We'll see it again. Actually, Genty's 3rd game of his career.
Let's go. Load up Genty over rushing attempts. Early best bet here for week number 3 in the NFL. All right, as much as I don't want to do it because it was a horrific night last night.
You want to do WNBA playoffs real quick? Let's just insert that in here.
No, Mackenzie, we're all about accountability here on Better Day. So let's get into some Major League Baseball. Well, I'm not going to sit here and complain about bad beats because they happen all the time. Maybe I'll complain about one. Yankees were up 10-1 over the Twins last night. We gave out Yankees minus a run and a half on the run line. And thanks to a ninth inning home run by the Twins, Yankees win the game 10-9. They were up 10-1, and they did not cover minus a run and a half. That's going to happen. Sure. It's going to happen. I can't get mad about it. I can get upset about it. Can't get mad about it. Last night was a horrific night for us. I mean, I'll admit it. It was bad. 0-7 in Major League Baseball. It happens. Big Mo tweeted at us, "What a day from hell." But what are you going to do? It happens sometimes. Big Mo, it does, man. It happens sometimes. I mean, we're going to come back strong. I mean, we go on runs. There was a time where earlier in the baseball season, we were 11-1 out of our 12 baseball bets. Yeah, there's going to be a streak like that, and then there's going to be a streak like we had last night where we lost every single game. First 5 was the move in that Dodgers game. That should have been the fade. Ohtani, 5 hitless innings against the Phillies. If the handicap was on the Phillies being sleepy after their celebration last night, I should have just went Dodgers first 5. Ohtani comes out of the game. Phillies score 6 runs in the 6th inning off of Justin Robleski, who came in relief. Absolutely terrible. Phillies go on to beat the Dodgers 9-6. Should have been a first 5 bet. That was my mistake. Or I guess I should have identified a better part of that handicap.
I mean, it does make sense, the first 5, but you could also say that they would get tired and not really care about the end of the game as much. Like, maybe because of the hangover factor, the first 5 was slightly better, but I don't know. I don't think it was the handicap. I think it was just sometimes you blow a four run lead. That happens.
Yep. So the Dodgers lose. I was on the Padres last night, and Michael King on the mound for the Padres looked like he had no interest in being at Citi Field pitching against the New York Mets. The dude got rocked for 5 runs in the first inning, gives up 2 more runs in the second. The body language was pathetic. It's like he was pitching batting practice out there. Overall, he goes 3 innings, gives up 8 runs on 10 hits against the Mets last night. I mean, this is a guy who, against much better offenses, has been solid this year. That is the most runs he has given up by far in a game. Mackenzie, he had not given up more than 3 runs in any start this season. Michael King. Again, he has not given up more than 3 runs in any start this season. And he got rocked for 8 runs in 3 innings against the New York Mets. Hey, that's going to happen, okay? That's going to happen. We lost to Nerfy in the Cubs-Pirates game. Paul Skeens.
And yet the game goes under somehow.
I know. Paul Skeens gives up 2 runs in the first inning. I mean, Paul Skeens is a guy who he's a lock for the Cy Young Award, right? Even though it was a terrible game for him. But in 31 starts prior to yesterday, he had only given up 1 run in the first inning. Just 1 run in the first inning. Can you imagine that? Like, he 31 starts, in 30 of them, he had a scoreless first inning. That's how good Paul Skeens has been this year. Late yesterday, the leadoff batter hits a home run in Michael Busch. So it's going to happen. You're going to lose games. Let's not dwell on it anymore. It was a terrible night, and we just look forward now. Let's take a look at the standings real quick in Major League Baseball before we look forward to tonight's schedule. As far as your division races are concerned, Mariners, they have won 10 straight games now. 2 more home runs for Cal Raleigh, so a big night for him as the Mariners pick up their 10th straight win. As I mentioned, they are a half game up on the Astros for first place in the American League West. Meanwhile, the Cubs win, but the Brewers won also, so the Cubs stay 5 games back of the Brewers. With the Dodgers loss, luckily for them, the Padres lost as well, so the Dodgers maintain a 2-game lead over the Padres in the National League West. In the American League wildcard race, the Yankees still a game and a half up on the Red Sox for the first wild card, or on the Astros, for the first wild card. Red Sox 2.5 games up on the Guardians, who have won 5 straight games for that third wild card spot. The Rangers 3.5 games back. Man, what a missed opportunity for Texas. They have lost 3 straight games. Still 3.5 games back, but If they would have won all those 3 games, they would not be 3.5 games back. Meanwhile, in the National League, the Diamondbacks won, but the Mets won as well. So the Mets maintain their 1.5 game lead over Arizona here in the race for the 3rd wild card. Arizona has now won 4 straight games. They came from behind to walk off against the Giants last night. Is this, I'm telling you, he's not going to win the award. We mentioned this yesterday, Torey Lovello, but if the Diamondbacks find a way to make the playoffs, this is a magical season in Arizona. Just unforeseen. What they have done here down the stretch. Only a couple. We
talked about
left.
The Red Sox at the beginning of the year, how they could have beat the Cleveland Indians from Major League Baseball. I mean, talk about getting rid of all your talent, trying to lose, and rallying together and maybe making the playoffs.
Yeah,
Diamondbacks.
I wonder if the Diamondbacks have a hot owner, that they have a cardboard cutout in the locker room. All right, let's take a look at the schedule for today. Matthew Boyd goes for the Cubs against Johan Oviedo and the Pirates. Cubs are minus 165 favorites. Reds are at the Cardinals. Brady Singer for the Reds. Adrian Palante for the Cardinals. Giants and Diamondbacks do it again from Arizona. It's Justin Verlander on the mound for the Giants. Brandon Pfaadt for the D-backs, and Arizona's minus 115 in this game. Lucas Giolito goes for the Red Sox, hosting the A's, and on the mound for the A's is Mason Barnett. Elsewhere, the Blue Jays are at the Rays. Kevin Gausman for Toronto, and going for Tampa is Ian Seymour. The Jays minus 130 favorites. Padres and Mets do it again from Citi Field. Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres. David Peterson for the Mets. Mets a small minus 115 favorite. Yankees and Twins back at it again. It's Taj Bradley on the mound for the Twins. Luis Gil for the Yankees. Yankees minus 175. Taj Bradley's had a real tough go of it this season. His last start against the Angels gave up 3 runs, and that was a good start. 4 runs before that for the White Sox. He got rocked when he faced the White Sox in his first start with the Twins. So mixed bag here, and the Yankees certainly familiar with Taj Bradley from pitching with the Tampa Bay Rays. The Yankees did face him a couple of times this season when he was pitching for the Rays. The first time was back in April at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. Yankees tagged him for 6 runs on 9 hits in 5 innings, and then he pitched against them in May in the Bronx, and the Yankees only were able to scratch across 2 runs on 4 hits in 5 innings. But they are familiar with the kid, and I would think that their offense gets to him again tonight. Mariners go for their 11th straight win as they will send Bryce Miller to the mound, going up against the Royals and Cole Reagans. And the Mariners are a slight underdog here as the Royals a minus 115 favorite. Rangers are at the Astros. It's Jacob deGrom on the mound for the Rangers. Christian Javier goes for the Astros. Texas, a minus 130 road favorite. And the Phillies and Dodgers back at it again. Jesus Luzardo for the Phillies. Blake Snell on the mound for the Dodgers. LA, minus 150. That'll wrap things up for this episode. Mac, unless you have a thought on the WNBA playoffs, you got to play anything for us?
No, I don't. Not necessarily.
No?
All the 0-1 teams won, made it 1-1. Something to keep in mind. Generally, the more motivated team is down in a series.
Interesting. Also, I mean, Paige Beckers, almost a unanimous WNBA Rookie of the Year. I believe that's something you called before the WNBA season started.
Oh, come on. She's phenomenal. She's the best talent we've seen enter the WNBA in, I don't know, 10 years by far, at least.
So better than Caitlin Clark, you're saying?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Caitlin Clark. Yeah, she entered the league recently, too. I almost forgot. I think so. I've been saying that since UConn versus Indiana, but we'll see. Long career to go.
All right. We'll keep an eye on that. You can follow Mackenzie Rivers on Twitter at Mac and Rivers. You can follow me at Scott's on Air, and we will have the numbers on the 4th downs coming up on tomorrow's episode as we'll preview the Thursday night game. We'll cook up a same game parlay, and I think this is the new bet for us. If we can find this prop bet available in the market, this might be the thing that we will take advantage of. Oh, I did want to do some housekeeping because I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are very upset about the win-loss record right now because of last night's just abysmal performance. So I did some housekeeping on the records this season. In the NFL, 9-13 start, 14-10 in college football, so off to a better start in college football. Baseball, 37-35 on the year. And then specifically looking at the type of bets that we have placed here, We are 13-12 on totals, 7-13 on spreads in football, 8-8 on baseball run lines, 20-19 on money lines in all sports. Nerfy bets are 4-3, but 9-4 in props, and that's in all sports. 9-4 in props in all sports. I think maybe we're going to focus on more props as opposed to some of these spreads that in the NFL have become really hard to pick off here. I mean, look no further than the Circa Millions contest, which is one of the it's I know it's a very publicized contest, but it's also a very sharp contest, right? Like people that enter this stuff, you're putting $1,000 on the line to enter a 5-pick contest. Like it's tough, and seeing the selections here in Circa Millions, week 1, the selections went 0-5 against the spread. 0-5 against the spread in week number 1. And
the top 5 selections.
The top 5 most selected teams. 0-5 against the spread. The top 10 selected teams, Mackenzie, went 1-9 against the spread in week 1. And in week 2, the top 5 went 2-3. So we're talking about 2-8 for the top 10, for the top 5 most selected entries in Circa Millions. So
if you're down in the NFL this season, as I am, you're amongst good company. All the smartest, most heavily invested bettors. It's been a tough start.
Yes. Going to start incorporating some other stuff here in our NFL coverage also, because Dave Bartu over at on his Patreon, patreon.com/EPA Sports, does a lot of great reporting on the NFL. Dave is the founder of Matrix Analytical, and they do a lot of stuff there on their Patreon. Again, patreon.com/EPA Sports on different line values in the NFL, right? And different edges in the NFL. And so what they do is they grade the numbers or the price pocket using like 10-year overlays to determine, ROI for certain numbers. And so there's different value given on different point spreads. It's very interesting. And you can talk about the line move from the open to where we are now and when there's value on a line because of movement here. So we're going to get into a lot of that stuff as we do more with the NFL coverage. But shout out to Matrix Analytical. They do a tremendous job there. So we'll give you some of those numbers as we progress throughout the week here. For Mackenzie Rivers, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today a much better day than yesterday. And every day a better day.